So again, during the welcome, we're just going to quickly cover the agenda. Basically, we have 4 presentations today, which I will bring up. One is on section GG, Functional Abilities and Goals. That will be the presentation right after this one. It will be punctuated by a break between 10 and 10:15. Then Ann Deitch will come back and continue until 11 o'clock. After which time Kathy Roby will join us to present on the drug regimen review conducted with follow-up for identified issues. And then we'll take a lunch break from 12:15 until 1:30. We'll come back and we'll work on that case study. And it's a great opportunity for you to practice coding against something that looks like what you see in your patient records. And then we'll wrap up with a Q&A session from 2:45 to 3:15. So hopefully that makes sense from everyone's perspective. Any questions about the agenda? I'm going to quickly give an introduction to today's presenters, especially Ann Deitch. Ann is joining us specifically for this conversation. She is a senior research public health analyst with RTI International. She's a certified rehabilitation nurse with a PhD in epidemiology and community health, and she's been part of the team that has developed the continuity assessment and record evaluation tool and was involved in training data collectors and data analysis in the Medicare post-acute care payment reform demonstration. She has an appointment as a clinical research scientist at the Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago Center for Rehabilitation Outcomes Research and is a research associate professor in the Department of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation in Northwestern University's Feinberg School of Medicine. She truly is an expert on section GG and has presented this material across all care settings. Back today will be Kathy Roby and Charlotte Steninger. Since I did their introductions yesterday, I'm not going to go over those specifically, but their information is in the packets that you have available. And I did want to just take a couple moments to refresh us about the information in the packets. So everyone who's here in person has a physical packet. The resources that will be the most useful to you today likely will be the agenda, the bios, the acronym list, and the action plan. We also will be having you utilize the practice scenarios for day 2 and the case study narrative and case study coding sheet. For those who are joining us online, those same materials can be found on the Home Health Quality Reporting Program training webpage under the Downloads section. There are 4 zip files for yesterday and today's training. They're noted as November 2018 Home Health Quality Reporting QRP Provider Training. There's day 1 and day 2, and each one has 2 parts. You'll find the agenda, the bios, the acronym list, and the action plan in the zip file for day 1 and part 1 file under the welcome folder. You'll find the practice scenarios for day 2 in the day 2. I don't seem to have audio anymore. Hello? There we go. In the day 2 zip file for under part 1, and it also is in the welcome folder. And then you'll find the case study narrative and the coding sheet for the case study in the day 2 part 2 folder under the case study, in the case study folder, or zip file in the case study folder. So moving on to some general information, all of the training materials with answers will be posted to the Home Health Quality Reporting Program training page on the CMS website following the training. It will take a little bit of time, but it will be there, we promise. I know a number of you have asked if we could provide it in advance, but we reveal the answers during the training and then afterwards post them so that you can use them as resources. Video recordings of yesterday and today's presentations will be posted to the CMS YouTube site also shortly following the training, and that's an additional resource for you. And for those who are attending live, certificates of completion will be emailed to you. So now we're going to go back to using Slido to answer a few fun questions about Baltimore. Let's see how much Baltimore history we know. Should be that you can just open your browser again, and this is for people online as well as those who are here in the room. And we're going to use Slido periodically throughout the day to ask you to participate with us in the content, both to answer knowledge checks, to submit questions for training evaluations, and perhaps to submit some ideas related to actions that you can take when you get back to your facilities to operationalize what we go over today. So for those of you who were with us yesterday, you may not need to go through this step again. If you open your browser and go to slido.com, you may already be logged into the event. If you're not and you're asked to enter an event code, just enter the code Econometrica, ECONOMETRICA. And then you should be on, there are 3 tabs across the top: questions, ideas, and polls. To participate in polls, you're going to want to be on the polls tab. And we're going to try our first one. So we'll see how many of us know which fort defended the Baltimore Harbor during the War of 1812. Was it Fort Cumberland, Fort Meade, Fort McHenry, or Fort Frederick? And we have a few history buffs in here, or people who might have been here when we were practicing earlier, but it looks like the general consensus is for Fort McHenry. So let's see what the correct answer actually is. And it is indeed Fort McHenry. So we'll go on to another question. Baltimore's waterfront neighborhood of Fells Point was the second largest point of immigration after Ellis Island. Do we think that that might be true or false? Ooh, 100% true so far with 45 responses. I see 65, 85. We have quite a few responses coming in. 2 people think it, or 2% of the respondents think it might be false. Going to give it another moment or two. And it appears that the correct answer is true. Okay, we'll do one more. Which Baseball Hall of Famer was born in Baltimore? Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth, Joe DiMaggio, or Cy Young? Ooh, this is a split vote. Okay. We've got votes for all candidates. So far it looks like the front runner is Babe Ruth. I still see numbers coming in, numbers shifting just slightly. Okay, well, let's go ahead and see what the correct response is, and it is Babe Ruth. So a lot of people must know their Baltimore history. All right, we're going to probably skip over a couple because I want to go ahead and get to the part about asking questions, because it was very helpful for us yesterday when you all used Slido to ask questions about what was important, what you wanted to know more about. And we generally got 2 types of questions. The first type of questions were related to the content, and that's what we have our subject matter experts working on at lunch so that we can provide responses to you. Again, it's very helpful if you see a question that you're thinking about answering to like that question, because we really are paying attention to the questions that get the most votes first. Doesn't mean that we won't answer all questions, it's just that's how we're prioritizing responding to the questions. But we got another kind of question, and that had to do with technical questions, particularly from people who were participating online, if they were having problems with audio, if they perhaps I think that was one of the main questions. We are using Slido to respond to you regarding those technical questions. But basically, when you type a question in, you're going to have to scroll back to that question to see the response. So other questions may be coming in and push your question up or down based on how the voting is coming in. But we will respond to your question. So if you have a technical question, don't like somebody else's question, but instead type your question in specifically, and then our technical crew will definitely get back to you. So to set yourselves up for question, how many people who are here in the room can still see their little profile avatar set up? Okay. If you're joining us new, it is important that you set yourself up using the profile. So you'll notice in the upper right-hand corner, there's a little circle with a half moon under it, looks like a head with shoulders. Just click on that, enter your name, your organization, and your email address, and then that little icon will change to your initial. And that way, if we have a question about a question that you asked, we have a way of getting a hold of you to get clarification. So I think we've covered the profile setup and how to ask questions. You just, again, across the top of the screen, there are 3 tabs: questions, ideas, and polls. When you want to submit a question, you want to be on that question tab. Then just type in your question and click ask or send, and that gets your question to us. We talked about upvoting questions, so if you see a content-related question that you really like, please use the little thumbs up to like it, and again, that helps us understand how important that question is to you all as a group. So lastly, I'm going to cover submitting action plan ideas. In your packets, there was the action plan, and again, it's just meant to help you operationalize some of this. So thinking through, what are the processes and procedures? Are there any policies at your facilities? Do you need to coordinate with your IT department? What groups of people are impacted that you need to set up training plans for? This is just a piece of paper that you can start to jot down those notes so that at the end of each session, so that you have a plan when you go back to your facilities about how you're going to make this real for your staff. Similarly, if we have enough time, our presenters will ask you to use Slido, and you would click on the Ideas tab to share your ideas. And that way, you all can learn from one another. We're actually kind of getting excited about this idea and thinking about how we can do this in a more effective way moving forward. But if our presenters have the opportunity to do this, they'll project some of your ideas coming in, we'll project them onto the board, and you have the ability to vote on ideas too. So that's just one way that you can utilize each other as resources to really make the most of this training. And this is what the paper action plan looks like. We filled it out for Section J, a sample of what some ones might look like. This is just, our thoughts, but you might have different ideas, and each facility is a little bit different in their needs. So I think that takes me to the end of my presentation, and with that, I am going to turn the training over to Ann Deitch.